Hi, my name is Katie Kataska, and I am the chair of the Professional Development Committee of the New Jersey Library Association. In the Library Career Path series, we'll be interviewing librarians from a wide variety of positions within the field, from public positions to music outreach and even business librarians. So newcomers and seasoned librarians alike can learn more about the many career options available in the field that they may not have been aware of. We hope you enjoy these interviews, and please like and subscribe to our channel below to help promote the Library Career Path series. Thanks so much for watching this series. We hope you enjoy it. Take care.
Cool. So again, thank you for being here today. Just to start out, can you give us your name, title, and your current place of employment?
My name is Katie Salerno. I'm a Youth Services Librarian at the Watchung branch of the Somerset County Library System of New Jersey. I previously was a Teen Services Librarian where I ran a 200-person volunteer program, but I currently work with kids just being born, birth to grade 12.
Nice. And what inspired you to become a librarian? Did you choose this profession or did it find you?
So interestingly enough, I didn't know that I wanted to be a librarian. I was looking at grad school when I was a senior in college, and I was talking to my college senior thesis advisor. He's an English literature professor, Professor Evans at Rutgers, and I was like, oh, I don't know where I want to go. I was thinking about being a teacher. But he kind of like reminded me that I don't necessarily like speaking in front of people. And I was like, wow, that's a good point. But I did like doing like a research and things like that. So then he suggests, have you ever thought of librarianship? And like a bell went off in my head, like ding, ding, ding. That's perfect. I'm going for that. So yeah, it definitely found me. I'd always liked just sitting in the library, like doing studying and reading and just hanging out looking at the bookshelves. But I never thought for a second until he mentioned that to me that I would go into librarianship. But here I am, and it's like it's the perfect career for me.
Okay, so was there something specific that pointed you in the direction of becoming a youth services librarian?
So I actually wanted to be an academic librarian, and I focused my studies on academic librarianship in grad school. Um, like every class that I could take that had to do with like reference, academic, like librarianship, I took. However, when I went to go interview for like job positions, they often wanted a second master's. So I then like brought in my search, and I ended up interviewing at Somerville Library, which is also part of the Somerset County Library System. And the position was teen librarian. And it turned out that that was the perfect position for me, that I had experience working with children because I used to be a camp instructor, a science camp instructor at science-sational workshops for kids. Um, so I talked about that experience. They also mentioned like, what are you reading right now? And I was reading The Hunger Games. I was reading Harry Potter. So it just like fit perfectly that I would be a youth services librarian and not an academic librarian, even though I just loved being in college. And I think that's why I thought I wanted to be an academic librarian. I just loved like the feeling of studying and being in college and learning new things. But yeah, it turned out that like teen librarianship was perfect for me. I even went on a separate interview. It was for something else, and I'm talking about my experiences. And whoever was interviewing me said, "Oh, that sounds like you're a teen librarian." And I was like, "Oh." And I just interviewed for one. I didn't say that to her, of course. But so yeah, it worked out that I ended up being a teen librarian because it just fit in with um, my past experiences and my reading interests.
Yeah, and I think your personality has a lot to say to it too, like where you kind of wanted to end up. Because I thought like I wanted to end up in teen or like in archives, and then I ended up just being in adult services. So that just kind of worked
Oh,
out.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all have different paths.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So to go on to the next question, so can you describe the interview process? Is there an asset that you possess which you believe may have helped you land the job?
Okay, so all the jobs that I've had in librarianship has been at Somerset County Library System in New Jersey, and the format that they use is a round robin format where there's multiple interviewees, like people who interview you. Um, and it's an interview panel and not just like a one-on-one. So
Hmm.
that's like the format of um, for job interviews, and each panelist then fills out like a rating system, and um, then they discuss between them who is going to get the position, and but the hiring manager is the one who makes the final decision, and then HR comes in and they discuss each candidate, and then you submit the ratings to HR. It's definitely a long process, but I think it's a good process. It's a little stressful when you're first coming in. Um, there are also transfer options here, and I actually was transferred to Watchung Library from Bridgewater, from going from a teen librarian to a youth services librarian. And what was the second half of that question?
Which is sorry, I meant to ask that in two halves.
Okay.
So my bad. So is there an asset that you possess which you believe helped you land your job?
So I think the reason that they chose me for this job was because I am the only librarian here at Watchung Library.
Hmm.
So they knew I could handle it because like I am a go-getter. I have to be involved in everything, and they know that. When they picked me, I was president of the Young Adult Services section of NJLA. So I had leadership qualities. And because I'm the only librarian in the building, I'm second in command behind the branch manager.
Oh,
So
wow.
I needed the leadership experience. They needed to know that I'd be able to handle being in charge a good percentage of the time. Um, they also needed me to be independent and have a strong initiative, basically because I'm kind of doing everything.
Mhm.
And I'm the only librarian, so I have to be able to just like make decisions on my own. But I'm also really good at being a team player and working with the team. So I always help out at circulation when they need it. I'll help the adult services library assistant with programming. Um, let's see what else I wrote down. Also, because I was a teen librarian, they did want me to get more experience working with younger children, just so that I have more opportunities if I ever wanted to move forward in my career. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Like, I think it was basically because I don't need much direction and I could just like go and do things. And I am very strong at being an in charge person, even though I'm not the branch manager and I'm not a supervisor.
Mhm.
But working at Watchung Library because I'm the only librarian. It's a lot on my plate, but the people who chose me knew that I could handle it, based
Mhm.
on previous things that I've done, um, in the library system, but also in NJLA.
Mhm. No, that's cool. I actually didn't know you were the only librarian there. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Um,
It's
is
good.
there a yeah, yeah. Is there a reason why they don't have another librarian on staff or another? I'm sure you're doing a phenomenal job. I'm just curious.
You'd have to ask that
Ask them.
question to the people above me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
But I
tough
could see
question for me to answer.
I know. But I could see one day, like if you really wanted to, becoming like a manager, like branch director, I could see that. Like you just have that like
Oh, thank
fire.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
one day. I don't want to skip a step is the thing. Because
right. I understand.
I enjoy working with children. I enjoy working with teenagers. I enjoy being with the patrons. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't want to miss that step. So the step in between is like youth services supervisor. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but I'll keep that in mind for the future.
What is a typical workday for you?
So it varies day to day. It depends on the needs of the day, what's going on, what do I have on my calendar. So like, one day I'm like prepping for my program and doing a program, or I'm making flyers, or I'm sending out the flyers to the schools, or dropping them off at like the local preschool. Sometimes I'm doing collection maintenance and I'm weeding. I also like input my colleagues' programs into our online calendar, Communico. So it really depends on the needs of the day, what pops up in my email. Also, going to meetings, whether it's virtual or in person. Also, I try to be involved in like system initiatives. Like right now, I'm on our staff and service day committee, and I just got elected chair. So that's basically like
Nice.
a development day. Thank you. So like it just really depends on the day. Like sometimes I'm going out of branch to go to a training or like the YS forum or conference or a young adult services section meeting. Also depends on like what I'm currently doing. Like I used to be president of the young adult services section, so like I'd have to go to every single meeting, and they would be in person. Trying to see what else. I also like go to outreach events normally. Normally it's more busier in the summer. I try to like pack in the programs in the summer because I know kids are off. There's also more outreach in the summer. I normally go to the preschool in the summer, and I read to them based on like the theme that they're doing. They have like a summer preschool program. Um, yeah, I do a lot.
Sounds like it, really. Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
think I
pack
covered.
into you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think I covered everything. I also want to mention that like I do teen volunteer training, and I work with the teen volunteers to make sure that they understand what they're doing, and so that they can be independent, and I don't have to be there with them. Um, yeah, I think that's the only thing that I have in my notes. That oh yeah, I think that's all I have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know you really gotta like pack in those like summer events for the kids. We do the same here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
Hmm.
especially I'm doing multiple ages. So like I'm
Yeah.
doing our library has something called the soaring program, and it's like it used to be called Soaring into Kindergarten, and it's
Oh,
a
okay.
6-week series um of like prep to get kids ready
Hmm.
for kindergarten. So it's like singing, reading, writing, playing. Then there's one that's like on like fine motor skills. So like I have that. Then I'm doing my weekly STEAM programs, and then I'm adding like fun things like a painting program for like K-5, and then I also have like teen volunteer night, and I'll do Lego Club, which is easy, and occasionally what we did last year is we would go to the farmers market. And I took my programs to the farmers market, but we realized that like taking all of my programs, like the STEAM ones, was a little hard. So we might, depending on, I'll talk to my branch manager about it, but we might just make it Lego Club down at the farmers market. Like in my opinion, that's the easiest thing possible because it's just play with Legos, have fun.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I definitely do a lot here. Watch my
It sounds you really
day.
meant it when you were like you had your hands in a lot of different like set areas and plans. That is really cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So yes, that is probably why they picked me because they know I'm um, a go-getter, perfectionist. I need to be involved in everything. Um,
No, I don't blame you. I think all librarians are like
so
that.
what
And skills slash qualifications are required for your positions? Do they currently match the skills and qualifications that you use most on a daily basis?
I'm sorry, I would say yes, they match, definitely. So you need to have a familiarity with youth services, teen services, resources, books, literature, things like that. You definitely need strong communication skills, written and verbal. Also, like record keeping. I'm in charge of the budget as well for the programming budget. So I'm in charge of that as well. Also, like you definitely need leadership skills for this particular position because I am in charge so often. And then like research skills, technology skills. I often help my colleagues with technology skill, like technological stuff. Um, Even if it's like as simple as like printing something, like how like sometimes when you're trying to print something and it's like a PDF and it won't print out right. So I'm like the one who's like, okay, this is how you do it. Um, what else? So yeah, also you need like a very strong attention to detail, especially when making flyers. And I also help my manager and I check like the big flyer that has everything on it. So like she really appreciates my attention to detail because I'll always find like that should this be capitalized? Is this state, it should be this date at this time. So I'm always finding like 10 things and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, is that annoying? And she's like, no, it's great. It's great that you're able to catch these things and I want you to catch these things. Um, so yeah, and they match the skills that like I have.
No,
Definitely.
that's great. So going into our next question, I'm really curious about this. So what is the best thing about your job? What is your least favorite thing?
So I think the best and my favorite thing is working with children. I'm surprised. So I worked previously with mostly with teens. So that's like grades 6 to grade 12. And I truly, truly enjoyed that. It was a lot though, working with parents
Hmm.
and them wanting them to be involved in the volunteer program because I previously worked at Bridgewater where I had that 200-person volunteer program. Um, so like now I work with K to 5 a lot, and they are like such a joy to work with, especially the younger ones, like the kindergarteners. Um, the one like gives me a hug, and then when I go to the first grade class and I read to them. And one of them came in and she saw me and she got so excited and she was like dancing and like,
Oh,
hi. So like it's just working with kids that age is just like so wonderful because they're like genuinely enjoy seeing you. Um, and and they're genuinely like grateful for the time that you spend, working with them or like having a program with them or reading to them. And yeah, so that's probably my favorite thing is working with like the younger kids. I still enjoy working with teens. Of course, we have a few like superstar teens who are on our volunteer program. But yeah, there's something special about like the younger ones, like the K to 5. I don't see like I only do one like baby toddler program a month, so I don't see them as often. But the K to 5, I have like multiple a month.
mhm.
So yeah, I think that's very special is working with the children. And the other part of the question was, what's my least favorite? So I'd have to say, like, while I'm very skilled at being in charge and I can definitely handle any situation that comes my way, I just don't like it when like someone gets hurt and I have to like write up a report,
Mhm.
or the police gets called and then I have to handle it. Um, or I'm sure there's like a million other things that could happen. Or like, I don't know, oh, there's wasps in the library today. I'm the one who has to handle it and I have to make like decisions based on how serious is this for me to call like the public works. Um, so yeah, so like while I enjoy that because I'm like, oh, this is impressive. I'm doing this. I'm talking with the police right now. I'm just a librarian. Um, it's still like very stressful. And then it's very stressful, like especially like if a person falls, like you have to be very empathetic about that, but you also have to like, get business done and like make sure that they're okay, but also that they're not like angry about the situation or whatever. Um, so it also like takes a lot of knowledge on like procedure and policy and make sure that you're implementing it correctly. And that also, I just thought of one that like is also really terrible is when like there's not enough people in the building and then you have to like find coverage. Or if you can't find coverage, the building has to close. That's like a specific problem that we have at Watchung Library because we don't have a lot of staff. So occasionally, at least on one occasion, we almost had to close and I had to stay all day. Um, so yeah, I think that's my least favorite. I can definitely handle any situation that comes my way, and like I like doing those things, but it's just stressful. It's definitely stressful.
Yeah, no, I totally sympathize because like even in my like first couple of weeks working here, there's like people singing at the top of their lungs and you have to go handle that because your manager's not there. And I can't tell you how many times I've called the cops to the point where like I'm desensitized to it
Oh, well,
now.
that's
So
good.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
So at
pretty
least it's just like
desensitized
whatever,
to
I'm
it.
used to it. Like it's not fun, but at least I'm just like, okay, this has happened today.
Yeah, so at my library, it's very rare for the cops to be called. Like, it's not that kind of library. Um, where I previously worked, Somerville and Bridgewater. Like Bridgewater Library is in front of a mental health facility, so
Oh,
we'll just like walk in. Yeah, and then
yeah.
Somerville, similarly would get like a lot of like homeless people. Of course, like they're minding their business, like it's whatever. But if they're starting trouble, which occasionally they would, like you have to fill out a customer incident report and just know, you know, how everything works, like the policy and procedure of it to make sure that it gets to the people who need to know about these things in case it comes down the line and like they somebody wants to sue because they got injured on your property.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot just to
being
be in the
there.
public eye.
Definitely fun being like I enjoy
Yeah.
it. I enjoy
Okay, and going on to the next question. So what are your salary expectations and does your current job meet them? And are there any opportunities for growth in your position?
so the first part of the question is so at SCLSNJ, the there's a salary range and I'm just going to go over it just so for new librarians so that they know. But keep in mind that I'm going to say these numbers, but then I'm also going to say that the union has bumped it up a little bit. But right now we're not we haven't quite implemented it yet, but we're working on it. So the starting salary for beginning librarians, and that's what we call level K, is 47,000. If you have 1 year plus experience, it's 54,000, and then supervising librarians, it's 62. So we do have opportunity for growth because it goes from like a beginner librarian to experienced librarian to supervising librarian, and there's branch manager, and there's also like system opportunities where there's all different kinds of opportunities within the system, like there's like a training coordinator position, there's marketing opportunities, booking outside presenters is another opportunity, collection development, all this stuff. But I just also want to say that like even though that's where the salary is at now, um, I was involved in negotiating the union's contract, the librarian union's contract, and we worked to increase these salaries up by to 5% more. So just keep that in mind. Um, that it's not what I just said, but it's a little bit more, and that's going to be implemented very, very soon. Um, and so we do have a union here that backs all the librarians and supports them and helps them, be where they need to be, higher salaries, better raises, things along those lines. Um, but like, who wouldn't want more money? So, like, yeah, I'm in that like range of 1 year plus experienced librarians, but I'm basically making what a supervising librarian makes simply because I've been here for 10 years. So, but there's definitely opportunity for growth.
Mhm.
I'll tell you that.
The next question is, so what advice do you have for new librarians or graduate students about to enter the field?
So I would say just be open to the job opportunities that are available. And that, like, in my instance, like, I thought I wanted to be an academic librarian, but it turned out after going on an interview that I, in fact, was a teen librarian and that I was meant to work with teens and children. And also, like, all my skills matched up with that. I just had this idea in my head that I wanted to be an academic librarian and work in colleges because, like, I thought that's where I was for the last like 5 years was sitting in college libraries. So I would just say just be open to that, and it's good to get interviewed for jobs that like maybe you wouldn't expect to like want, and it's good to ask questions to the interviewer because you're also interviewing them to see if you want the job. Um, Yeah, and that's like really the only way that you'll know if it's a good position for you is if you also ask questions and get answers in return to them asking you questions.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely a great answer. And then the next question is, so what do the job prospects look like for your type of position?
So I would say the jobs prospects are pretty good. I just checked the NJLA.org job posting site, and there's 7 youth services librarians out of like, I don't know how many, but maybe there's like 15, 20 jobs there. So that's pretty good. There are opportunities um, to get this kind of job, whether they are very specific to how I'm a youth services librarian, where I do all ages. I can't say for sure. You'd have to read the job posting and ask questions on the interview. Um, and like some librarians might not want to be in charge of all ages. They might just like working with babies or grade school or teenagers. Um, but yeah, there's multiple children librarian positions on njla.org job site. And that's a really good place to look for jobs for sure.
And I think Library Link NJ as well also has like their postings usually.
Oh, that's good to know.
Okay, and for the next question, so what has been your biggest challenge in this profession?
So my biggest challenge is, and it's more like an internal struggle within myself, and it's that I love being a youth services librarian. I love doing all the programs and the outreach and doing all these extra things in NJLA. Like I'm also on the scholarship committee, and like I said, I was president of YAS. So like all these extra things I'm doing, I truly enjoy, and I'm able to do it because I'm a youth services librarian and I'm not a supervisor yet. So my internal struggle is I'm doing all these like leadership roles. Shouldn't I like shouldn't I want to be a supervisor? Shouldn't that be the next logical step? But I'm enjoying so much what I'm doing right now that I'm not sure. And I'm also, like I said, I'm making already what a supervisor makes. Even though like I would still get a 6% raise. It's kind of like, well, I'm already making it what I'm doing. Do I want this additional responsibility? If I was to take a job as a supervisor, it would have to be solely for the experience of being a supervisor and not for money, because believe me, it's not going to be for me. It's not that much of a pay difference. But if you're like a beginner librarian, like 3 years in, and then you become a supervisor, then that might be a bigger pay increase. But because I've been a librarian for 10 years, I'm at the point where it would be a very small, it would be 6%, but the raises that we have right now are relatively high. So it's kind of just like evens itself out. So it would have to be 100% for the experience. Also, I might need to leave Watchung Library because right now we don't have that opportunity here. It'd have to be somewhere within SCLS NJ or outside the system.
The last question that I'm looking forward to hearing your answer. So, are there any accomplishments during your library career that you are particularly proud of?
So there's a few. And interestingly enough, they're more recent accomplishments. They're not from, I guess, after being 10 years a librarian, you get good at your job. I don't know. Um,
Yes.
one thing is, so I was YAS president. I did it 2 years in a row, which is untraditional. It's normally 1 year and then you move on. But I was in charge of booking the keynote speaker for the Garden State Book Award luncheon, and I chose Kosoko Jackson, and I was just so proud of picking him and finding like the perfect person for this job. He's so humble, he's so talented, great personality. His presentation was amazing. People came up to me or just I heard from other people that just like only accolades. And also like because Kosoko Jackson writes LGBT literature for adults and for teens, um, some people who wouldn't have necessarily signed up for that luncheon did because of Kosoko Jackson. So like that's one thing I'm very proud of, and that was like last year's conference. We also had a book signing, which was awesome, and he was just like so grateful for the opportunity, which I appreciated. Like he didn't want to stay in the hotel, which we would have covered. He just wanted to get in, get out. We paid him his mileage. He like his speaking fee was fair. So like I was just really impressed with him. And anyway, I'm getting on a side topic, but yeah, so that was one of my best accomplishments that I'm very proud of. And then I have like two more. The second one is, so when I came into Watchung Library, and like over the years, a lot of work has been done for Watchung Library, and past people who had my positions did a lot of work. So, but I feel as if I transformed it, like the youth services space. I also increased the numbers for program attendees, the teen volunteer program, the numbers increased. The space, sorry, do you hear that hammering?
Yeah,
Who's
I do,
hammering?
but it's okay.
Okay, but anyway, so I worked with the board of the Watchung Library board to get a bench. So because I noticed that the kids and their parents, like there was no space in the play area for the parents to sit or the nannies to sit, so they were sitting like all the way by the table that's like across the way. So like I was able to like see that this is a need, and I got the board to purchase that for the library. I also just redecorated it, collection signage I made to just look cohesive and nice. I also at the time it was like right after the pandemic, so I reintroduced the toys. I started up the volunteer program again, and I just like really think I made some big and really great changes to Watchung Library Youth Services that really has helped grow the program, grow the library, have people interested in coming and staying, not just coming and leaving. So yeah, and that's the second one. And then my third one is, so I negotiated the library's union contract this past year. So I was just very proud of like, in my opinion, me and my colleague, Allison Ryan, did like an exceptional job getting what we wanted. We got raises for 3 years. That like the highest you can get is like 5% raises for the next 3 years. It's like our evaluation system is like the higher you get on your evaluation, the more money, the more percentage you get. But the highest you can get is 5%, basically. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's like the basics. And then we also raise the minimum salaries for the librarian grades. And we honestly, like in my opinion, we did better than we thought we would do for that aspect. So I'm just like proud of that and all three things that I mentioned. And these were things that I did recently. So I'm hoping that, all that I did is seen, and that like the people who are like high up, they see it and they appreciate it. And that it's not just a thing that I did, and it's, I want it to be like seen, known, heard. And I'm saying it now, that I did all these things and I've improved the Watchung Library, but I also improved like I'm trying to think of the right word, but basically like the lifestyle of the librarians within our library system, to have higher pay. So yeah, so like it's beyond just doing it every day to day. Like this is for the next 3 years that I've helped the librarians out. Great group to be a part of, and like I would highly
Yeah.
suggest, even if you're a youth services librarian and you don't necessarily focus on teen, you should join YAS, because you will make connections, you will make friendships, you will have support. It's just like a really great group. It's really put together a lot. It's very active, very active. Like normally we do team toolboxes. What else? Like we try to do that once a year. Our meetings are in person and on Zoom, but in person is an option. We go around the state to different libraries. We just do a lot.
No, it's good to know. Yeah, thank you so much for today. I definitely think this was great. I'm so happy I got to learn more about you and your position.
Thank you.
It's so much to learn.
Thanks. I look forward to seeing all of the interviewees. I'm just curious to how they answer these questions.